Hi guys, welcome back to this MBA podcast. This is going to be Finance Masterclass with Dr. Neeraj Amarnani sir. Professor Neeraj Amarnani bhi keh sakte hain, no problem with that. Sir is from Goa Institute of Management and we're going to talk a lot about finance careers, finance opportunities, Fintech, financial modeling, and we're also going to talk about Goa Institute of Management ka BIFS program, which is a niche program by the way. Welcome on board sir.
Thank you very
Happy
much.
to have you.
Pleasure's mine.
I would love to have a little bit of your introduction for my audience and for my students.
So, as you've already told your audience, I'm a professor in finance. I started in the corporate sector with the financial services industry in the 90s. And way back in 99, I shifted to academics. So, it's been more than a quarter century now teaching B school students.
Actually.
Right. So yes, it's been a great journey. I essentially hail from Ahmedabad, where I've had most of my academic and corporate career. But since the last 11 years, I've been with the Goa Institute of Management. Before that, in Ahmedabad, I was with Maika and Nirma. Right.
Superb.
So that's a bit about me, and yes, very much in the thick of things as far as teaching finance goes at Goa, at the Goa Institute of Management. Let me know what else you'd like to know.
That's more than enough. So my next question is, I have seen the trend from last 10 to 12 years. A lot of B schools have come up with this special program in banking and finance or financial services, etc., etc. So we know that there is a super duper demand in the market for finance professionals, by the way. Most of the time students get confused that should I join, let's say, a core program of a B school and do MBA in finance, or should I join a program like BIFS and then start learning finance from day one itself? What's your take on this core versus niche program? What makes it so good as far as the niche programs are concerned?
So as with every such trade-off of a general program versus a core program, the general program prepares you for a much wider perspective.
Right.
And what you sacrifice in that trade-off is depth. Right? You aren't really able to spend as much time and as much portion of your curriculum devoted to a particular discipline of study.
True that, yeah.
As against that, when you decide to opt for a niche program, something like the BIFS program at GIM, right, what you are doing is committing to a domain and in the process undertaking a line of study right from the very beginning. Right, we are actually looking at students taking up courses in finance from term one, from the induction, in fact, even before the term rolls out. Right, so they are given a perspective on the sector. They start off with courses like financial markets and statistics and introduction to Python in term one, right? Along with, of course, a foundational accounting course. Term two itself, they are discussing courses on corporate finance, financial modeling using spreadsheets,
Right.
Fintech, valuation comes in term three.
That's an advantage.
So these are courses that students are otherwise in a core program doing in the
Second year.
electives in the second year.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. By the time companies are on campus, they don't have a lot of idea about this valuation and derivative and all that.
Absolutely, and especially not while going into their internships.
Yes, even that's the point.
Right?
Absolutely.
So here the students are oriented already towards a career in a domain. So one is the commitment level of the entire peer group in the class. Right? There isn't a distributed line of attention where somebody's focuses on marketing, somebody's focuses on HR, operations. Here you have a gathering of the entire classroom looking at a sector.
Right.
So the synergy in learning in a particular sector is so much better. Right? When everyone is talking the same language in the class without much divergence of purpose or much dilution of purpose, you're in that atmosphere, you're sunk into that ecosystem so much more.
Got it. Perfect.
So you're committed, the ecosystem commits you, and then the curriculum really gives you an edge at the outset into making a foray in a particular domain in your career. So that's the core versus specialized this thing. Core is great for people who are not sure. They want to explore, find their feet, and then see what they want to do, and then take an exposure into a particular sector and hope that that really works out by the way of a career opening.
Perfect.
Right? But if you are already sure that you want to make your career in finance, why not commit to the depth of learning right from day one? Right?
Makes sense.
That's the big difference.
I think core is more of bird's eye view. And the niche program is like from a day one, you are into it. So there's a lot of deep learning happening. Fantastic. Sir, how you have designed this entire BIFS program? Because there are a lot of programs in the market. A lot of B schools are offering, something in finance. How this program is made up or how this program is structured, curriculum wise हो गया या फिर case study हो गया, financial modeling हो गया. If you can give us a little idea so that students can understand कि हाँ
Sure,
BIFS
sure,
का थोड़ा अलग है.
sure. One thing I must tell you is it goes back a long way. We launched our program in 2020, but we actually
Okay.
put the seeds of the effort in 2018. 2018. We spent 2 years preparing the curriculum because for us it wasn't about gathering material in terms of what should be the list of courses people would be doing by way of our understanding as academicians, but we actually spent 2 years engaging with industry. We made multiple visits to the head offices of banks,
Oh, is it?
leading private
Wow.
and multinational banks in the country, insurance companies, mutual funds, non-banking financial companies across the country. We've traveled to multiple cities as part of a team that was putting up the curriculum of the program.
Okay.
And we had a realization that one is the industry perspective was steeped into our design, what they require by way of skill sets, knowledge, competence from the graduates. So that was a very prime factor for our our delivery of the or design of the curriculum. Plus, if you look at the timing, this is a timing when we were already transitioning to the era of fintech. Right, it was still early days. I mean, you would at times have to educate people and ask people about what is fintech. Right, I personally did some surveys during COVID with business entrepreneurs to understand their financial needs, and we were actually telling them what fintech is. Right, but at that time we had already launched the program with a fintech emphasis because we knew that that was the future of financial services, because we spent time investigating that with industry. And we wanted, since had the advantage of coming in at a time of technological transition, we said we are not starting with the baggage of an existing program. We don't have to change things. We are starting from ground zero in an era that is transitioning technologically. Take advantage. Let's start a program which is tech intensive with the cutting edge requirements of the financial services industry. So that's what went into designing the curriculum. As a result, curriculum started with courses on Python, on fintech,
Wow.
on financial modeling using spreadsheets. We have program courses on machine learning, application of AI in the area of financial services. There are courses on blockchain and the crypto system.
Nice.
Right. So all of these courses were integrated into the curriculum right from day one as a result.
Super. So you talked about fintech.
Yes.
And you are also one of the the main subject that you teach is fintech.
That's right.
A lot of non-engineers like commerce grad, BMS, PBA, they want to get into finance, but they are not sure कि fintech उनके लिए बनेगा या नहीं बनेगा. Also, the engineers are also not sure कि वो fintech करे या फिर operations वगैरह के लिए चले जाए. But we know that fintech is booming.
Right.
And is the need of the hour now.
That's right.
So what sort of profiles they can get into fintech? Number one. Number two, how difficult it is to learn in the classroom or get well versed with that, like Python ho gaya, R ho gaya, etc., etc. So can a non-engineer move to fintech and make career out of that?
Right. So very valid question. Thank you. See, nothing is easy in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll start with that premise.
Absolutely.
If you're committing yourself to a discipline like finance, which does require effort, it comes with a level of rigor that is constant. Right, so it's definitely not something easy to do. Having said that, it's not difficult for anybody who commits to it.
Right.
Right. So
right.
An engineer who comes into a course on financial services might have some degree of difficulty in the beginning grasping concepts of accounts, for example. Right, or a certain set of concepts around economics. But let you know a secret, when I did my MBA way back in '96, right, I graduated then. But the people who topped the courses in accounts were engineers. Why? Because they came in with a mindset. They came in with a mindset of effort, perseverance, and all said and done, finance is about logic, is about seeing numbers work together, right? Equations make sense, right? And the level of subjectivity, while it's there in any business domain, isn't as much in the case of finance, because there are relatively deterministic outcomes, fact-based, right? There's always gray areas. But then if there weren't gray areas, there wouldn't be employees to solve problems. True that. You just needed a computer program, right? So for that reason, engineers do move up the value chain there, right? They get into handling accounts and they already have a technical and a analytical bent of mind, so that works well for them. Combining those two, I think they see a very natural growth once they overcome their initial hesitations in the area of accounting or economics. I think they see a very natural progression into building finance logically into their way of thinking. I'm a science graduate myself.
Okay.
My class, my group of students that I have taught, my colleagues in MBA, a lot of them who did well in finance were engineers, right? Because
Right.
that frame of mind really worked
Exactly.
well, right? And a need
Exactly.
to keep on working hard. So that sort of, I don't think is any problem as long as somebody, as I said, is committed to the domain. It's very much doable. Looking at it from somebody who's come from, let's say, the commerce background, right? One, they already have a head start when it comes
Yeah,
to things like
concepts.
accounting, economics,
Right.
some degree of finance. Some of them take the first step a bit gingerly in learning Python, or that's a bit, they become nervous because they haven't done a lot of coding, right? But that's why we try and bring it on as early as possible into the curriculum,
Right.
right?
That's an advantage.
So they don't really spend time wondering about what's to come. Right? You throw the duck into the water at the outset, right, and it's going to swim, right? So they take their baby steps right in the induction, get very hands-on practice in term one itself, right? Then courses in term two and three, financial modeling, corporate finance, derivatives, will build on their usage of Python. So they keep revisiting the concepts. And honestly, today we are no longer talking about coding in an environment which doesn't have a lot of support. Right from what I would refer to a couple of years back, user forums for support, to now language learning models, large language models, which are really proficient at giving you suggestions on code. They have limitations, but they give you suggestions at least on code. You should know the code to know what's
Actually.
correct, what out of it is usable, what to discard, what to change. So because of this environment, we are actually moving into an environment of just understanding technology and applying it. You don't need to be a technologist
Right.
to create a
Right.
business case in technology,
Valid point.
right? So that's
Valid
why, I
point.
mean,
Yeah.
irrespective of the field you come from, you just need a little bit of effort in the field you don't belong to, and you're good to go with respect to using your mind and applying yourself and making use cases and opportunities out of the available ecosystem.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so very much for that explanation, sir. My next question is going to be a little straight up, and I hope you take that. So, what happens, in finance, right? A lot of people believe that if I get into like bigger brands, like tier one brands, or some established institutions or something like that, I'll get to learn finance very well. That's a perception. Now, if I'm taking a non-core program at BIFS, as a student, will I be able to have that sort of an opportunity as far as the learning is concerned? Will I get that sort of a knowledge base here, which is been taught in, let's say, top-notch institutions in the country or let's say worldwide? So, do you have anything like that sort wherein you can say that, okay, Ketan, this is something we teach at a very high level?
So of course, I
Anything
mean,
you can mention, sir?
absolutely, Ketan. Right. So, see, I don't really like to compare brands and names, but I'm very confident of the way we have developed the curriculum.
Okay.
I have a tremendous set of colleagues out here at the Goa Institute of Management in terms of expertise and depth of perspective on their respective subjects, whether it be accounts, whether it be derivatives. I can't talk about financial modeling and fintech because I teach those subjects, right? So a bit of vanity out there, right? But otherwise, we have colleagues who have been extremely well received in their respective subjects.
Okay.
The curriculum has been extremely well thought out. We have intense engagements with industry very frequently to fine tune and update the curriculum. Just this morning, I was sitting in on a board of studies meeting for the BIFS program, where we had stalwarts from industry sitting with us and discussing how we can further improve the curriculum and delivery.
Yeah.
So we are very conscious about, and those include people from some of the best insurance companies, banks in the country, big four at times. So we keep going back to all of them for inputs on our curriculum, right? So we are pretty confident that the curriculum we are delivering is up there with the best in the country. We have no hesitations in saying so, right? And we feel the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So I would gladly welcome any student to come and join us and say that the curriculum wasn't to their expectations, right? Would love to hear about that. But from where I stand and what I see, I think it's been very well conceived and even better delivered by a brilliant set of colleagues that I have at the institution.
Fantastic. No, I can see the results of it. Been on the campus from a couple of days and I've met a lot of students, by the way. It's just a 5 years old program, but students are now making it to Wells Fargo. People are getting into these sort of companies and banging
JP
really.
Morgan, the
JP
Big
Morgan.
Four.
Yeah, they're getting good packages
They're all
also.
there on the placement roster. Yes.
Perfect. Sir, moving ahead. Maybe this is a little. Question that probably I should not be asking, but I'm just gonna give it a shot. A lot of people feel that finance is boring. What's your take on that?
Oh, those people are boring, honestly, I can tell you.
Okay, no, I'm asking this.
Finance is nowhere boring.
Uh-huh.
A lot is to do with, one is the initial bias against finance.
Huh.
So when you get into a program, one is the group itself sort of removes that, preconceived notions for you, because this group is one who's already inclined to finance, right? So one part of the situation is taken care of. And the other thing is, I think boredom comes from probably unimaginative or unmotivated delivery in the classroom. I think I see a set of colleagues with me who are very keen on exciting the students and passionately deliver and evoke passion amongst the students for the subjects being taught. Right? Students have come to finance faculty and said that, you don't look like a finance person. We assumed that finance would be boring, but we've actually enjoyed the class and it's been entertaining and it's been fun.
Right.
So I really do understand where you're coming from on that, right? But I think that's a preconceived notion. Propagated by the majority of
Absolutely.
non-finance students.
Absolutely.
I mean, any core program, for example, finance would be a minority.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Majority are non-finance students, and once they don't connect with the subject and don't make the effort, they tend to tune off, and at times they are unfortunately the ambassadors who spread
Right.
this message of finance
Right.
not being interesting.
Yeah,
I beg to differ. I find it very interesting, and
Yeah,
I'm sure
same here.
most of my students do.
Same here,
Not
same
just
here.
me.
Yeah.
After our classes, most of my students also find
So
finance
I've
interesting.
spent a lot of years in finance. I absolutely love it. I asked you this question deliberately because there is a misconception in the market.
Fair.
And I want students to understand the misconception and not to sort of take your career decision basis the propaganda or whatever that's happening in the market. So yeah, I completely second that. But I also second this point that finance is a game of intellectuals, by the way. Not everybody can do it. So you need to work really hard. So last question for the day. What sort of talent you would love to invite on your campus as far as BIFS program is concerned, or students will be taken care from a scratch level? Or they need to have CA or CFA background or something?
So we don't have prerequisites by way of qualifications. The qualifications are laid out in the admission brochure itself. But I will tell you what can give you an edge into getting into the program, as well as making most out of the program as well, is a big orientation and attitude that is positive on finance. Right? I think the biggest thing that comes is that positive attitude to learning finance. You definitely need to have a quantitative aptitude. Right? There is no gainsaying that. I might be from a background in literature, but if I have the orientation for numbers, no problems. Being a literature student doesn't preempt me or preclude me from being good with numbers.
Actually.
Right? But if I'm an engineer and I still don't like numbers, probably not the place for you to come to, right? In terms of a program, right? So I'm very big on the attitude. Second, I would say the most important thing is having an aptitude for numbers, a willingness to crunch numbers, look at data, look at equations, formula, not get intimidated, be willing to learn. And on top of that, the third criteria, which is I would say the cherry on the cake maybe, or the icing on the cake, is if you do have qualifications, if you have already started a journey into something like a CFA, an FRM, or an ICWA, ICMA rather, right, or a chartered accountancy course, in a way you have already prepared yourself for a journey with numbers and quantitative orientation, and you've already picked up some of the skill sets that could help you along with your program, right? So I think this combination of an attitude, an orientation to quantitative numbers, and some qualification on top, if at all you have already undertaken a journey on that direction or completed it, great, even better. But if you've undertaken a journey, that definitely helps you along in this journey, right? But doesn't preclude you.
Perfect, sir. Thank you so very much. I'm honored to have this meetup with you.
Pleasure's been mine. Pleasure's been mine.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
And
Nice
guys,
talking to you.
same here, sir. And guys, I hope this video was helpful. Make sure that you hit that like button and share this video with your friends. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.